Hello, my name's Allison Maryon and I'm just going to show you very quickly how you can get 4.5 meters of 1-inch bias binding or 9 meters of 1/2 inch bias binding from a fat quarter. If you use a lot of bias binding, this continuous method is really useful. So the first thing you need to do is you take your fat quarter and you need to make it into a square. So to be honest, it doesn't have to be a 50 by 50, which would be your fat quarter. You can make it from any square you like, but for demonstration purposes, this is going to be the fat quarter. So we're going to make our square just by cutting up after lining up the side edge with the top edge, which then leaves you with your 50 by 50 square. So once you've got that, you're then going to cut that in half on the diagonal. So we're going across the diagonal, leaving you with 2 triangles that you're actually going to turn edge to edge. So this is the shape you're going to end up with. And we're going to sew just a 1/4 inch seam along the bottom. I am going to press out the seam because it helps when it's going through the bias binding maker. So we'll open that out and we'll press the seam. There we go. So now we have this shape, and you're bearing in mind that you've got your bias edges at the top and at the bottom. And for anybody that doesn't know, the bias is a way that you can actually finish off a curved shape. If you're going along a straight edge, you don't have to have bias, but if you're going round a curve, like round a neckline or armholes, round the bottom of a pocket, it helps to have the bias because you can stretch round. So once you've got that, you're going to measure out the width of your bias. So for this 25mm, which is basically the inch finished bias, you're going to do a 2-inch strip of fabric. So you're going to measure. Well, that's got a 1/2 inch on the side there, so we'll turn it down that way. You're going to measure and mark. You can use a pencil because you're going to cut down that line, so you don't have to worry about it too much, and then it's going to be folded in. So you're going to measure and draw your line. I've already got one here I've done. You keep going up till you've covered the whole of the area of what I believe is called a parallelogram. So then we're going to join. Now this is going to seem a little bit strange because you're going to actually twist. You're going to join the edge of your first piece there with your first drawn line. So you're going to miss the edge and you're going to put that to your first drawn line. Until you've actually sewn it, it's going to be a bit strange here. It's going to look all bunched up, but I will just, because it's not an actual straight line, I'm going to just pin this because it makes it easier to sew. And then basically what you're going to end up with is like a little barrel shape. So again, about 1/4 of an inch all the way along. are. So now when I open it out, you can open it out to your barrel shape. So then we'll press this out again and hopefully these will line up and you're going to cut all the way around the outside edge. But it does need pressing because you're going to put it through a little tool, and this will help go through. There we go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cut along these lines, and you can see that where we've joined this shape, it's actually going to be straight now. So we're just going to cut all the way around, and this is going to give you your continuous bias strip. Put this out of the way. Take that off and I'll show you a quicker way of doing it. If you do hold it on your arm and go right the way round. It's best to use scissors because if you've got your rotary cutter, obviously you've got a double width of fabric there, so you can't cut through one without the other easily. There we are. So now we've got our 4.5 yards, possibly meters, of bias fabric. And then to turn it into bias tape, single fold bias tape, we take the pointed end and then we're going to feed that through this little gadget. There we are. And this folds it over. And as you pull it through, there we are. I think you get the gist with that. You just carry on. That would need a bit of a tidy up there, but we just carry on until the end. You can use best press if you're going to keep it and not use it straight away and you want it to keep nice. You can take a little spritz of best press and that will hold it down nicely. So if you want some nice, pretty floral bias binding, as I say, for the 1 inch finished bias binding, out of a fat quarter you can get 4.5 meters, and out of the 1/2 inch, which is the 12 millimeter bias binding maker, you can get 9. I hope you enjoyed that, and if there are any other techniques that you would like to see, do get in touch with Sewing Street. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on my next show.